Amora, you useless girl. Are you still sleeping when the sun is already warming the roofs? Auntie Ngosi's voice broke through the village very early in the morning. From the small hut beside the goat house, a young girl walks out, rubbing her sleepy eyes. Her wrapper hung loosely on her thin frame, her bare feet already coated with red dust. "I'm coming, Auntie," she said softly. But Ngozi was already outside, her face twisted with irritation. "Coming? You're always coming. You will remain poor forever, just like your late parents who thought they were better than me." She spat on the ground and turned toward her daughter, Adaku, who was seated comfortably on a mat, eating boiled yam and palm oil. "Adaku, my jewel," she said sweetly, "don't let the sun burn your soft skin. When you finish eating, rest a bit. That lazy orphan will do all the housework." "Yes, Mama," Adaku said, licking her fingers. Beside them, sitting quietly under the papaw tree, was Ikon, Ngosi's son, a tall, gentle boy, just a year older than Amora. His brow furrowed as he watched his cousin sweep with trembling hands. He said softly, "Mama, Amora hasn't eaten since yesterday. Can't she eat something before working?" Ngozi glared at him. "So you've joined her now, eh? Are you her defender?" "Mama, she's family. Keep quiet," Ngozi snapped. "You think I don't know what I'm doing? Go and tend to the goats." Ikon sighed, shook his head, and walked away. As he passed Amora, he whispered, "Be strong, Amora. Don't let her words break you." Amora gave him a small, grateful smile, one of the few kindnesses she ever received in that house. She bent down, picked up the broom, and began sweeping the compound as her aunt and cousin laughed and gossiped. Her stomach rumbled. She hadn't eaten since the day before, but she swept on, pushing aside the dried leaves as tears glistened in her eyes. Years ago, in the village of Umuis, many people once admired Ngozi. They said she had been a beautiful woman in her youth, with hair like black silk and a smile that could light up a room. But beauty, they say, is like morning dew, it shines brightly but fades when the sun rises. Her beauty had faded long ago, replaced by a bitterness that had eaten her heart like termites in dry wood. It began when she was still a girl living under her parents' roof. Back then, her younger brother Obinna, Amora's father, was their pride and joy. Her father would boast, "Obinna is the future of this family. His hands can make even dead soil yield crops." Her mother would beam and say, "Obinna will bring us honor." And poor Ngozi would sit in the corner, her face tight with envy, wondering why her parents' eyes never shone so brightly when they looked at her. When she married, her dowry was modest. But when Obinna married Nkechi, a gentle woman with laughter like wind chimes, their wedding was the talk of the village. And when Obinna's farm flourished and he built a grand house with goats, cows, and servants, Ngozi's heart hardened completely. She began to whisper to herself at night, "Our parents gave him the best land. They loved him more. But one day, fate will show that I was the one who deserved it all." And when fate struck cruelly, she thought her time had come. Amora was only 10 when her parents died. The villagers mourned deeply, and when the question of who would raise the child arose, Ngozi stepped forward, pretending grief. "She is my brother's daughter," she said, her voice soft with false emotion. "I will take care of her." The villagers praised her kindness. None saw the shadow behind her smile. But the moment Amora stepped into her aunt's home, her suffering began. She became a servant, fetching water from the far stream, washing clothes, cooking every meal, and sweeping the yard until her hands blistered. Adaku, on the other hand, lived like a princess. When Amora returned from the stream carrying 2 heavy pots, Adaku would be sitting under the mango tree, her fingers dipped in palm oil as she ate ripe plantain. If Amora sat to rest, Ngozi would shout, "Lazy girl! You want to rest when Adaku has not even finished eating?" If Adaku broke a calabash, it was Amora who got beaten for it. The villagers often whispered, "That woman is too harsh on the orphan," but no one dared to interfere. Ngozi's tongue was as sharp as her temper. Ekin tried to help her whenever he could. He would sometimes sneak her food when his mother wasn't looking, or take her chores quietly. "Thank you," she would whisper. He always replied, "You don't need to thank me, Amora. One day, you'll be free of all this." But Ngozi's eyes missed nothing. When she caught them talking one day, she barked, "Ekin, if I see you helping that useless girl again, I'll skin you alive." Even Adaku joined in the cruelty. She often mocked Amora. "Don't touch my clothes, dirty girl. You'll stain them." And her mother would laugh, pleased. Only Ekin's presence kept Amora from despair. Years passed. Amora grew into a graceful young woman with eyes full of gentleness. She worked without complaint, prayed without ceasing, and never once spoke against her aunt. Then came the day when a man from the city came to marry Adaku. He arrived in a shiny car, wearing perfume and fine clothes. Ngozi nearly danced herself to death with joy. "Ah, my daughter will live in the city. My enemies will know I am blessed." On the day of the wedding, she dressed Adaku in white lace and gold beads. Amora helped her cousin get ready, her hands trembling as she pinned the veil. Adaku looked at her reflection proudly and said, "Don't touch my dress too much, village girl. You'll stain it with sweat." Amora said nothing, only smiled faintly and whispered, "May your path be smooth, sister." When Adaku left in the car, dust trailing behind her, the compound suddenly felt empty. For the first time, Ngozi realized she had no one left but the girl she despised. While the village women whispered, "Ah, she has entered enjoyment. Her life will be sweet from today." Ngozi danced until she almost fell, shouting, "My enemies have failed. My daughter is now a city madam." But the city was not the paradise Adaku imagined. Her husband, Tobe Kai, was a disciplined man, gentle, but firm. He worked in a transport company and came from a home where every child learned responsibility early. On her first morning in the house, Tobkai woke up to find Adaku still sleeping, sprawled across the bed like a child. The sun was high. Adaku, he called softly, shouldn't we prepare breakfast? She opened one eye lazily. Prepare what? Don't you have a housemaid? Tobkai blinked in confusion. No, my mother taught us to take care of our own homes. Adaku hissed loudly. When she finally dragged herself up, she stared at the kitchen like it was a prison. She didn't know how to wash a pot, light a stove, pound pepper, sweep a floor, even boil water without burning something. Her mother had shielded her from all chores, claiming, "My daughter cannot suffer. Let that useless Amora do everything." Now, standing in her husband's kitchen, she realized she knew nothing. That first day, she attempted to cook rice. She added water too much. She added salt too much. She left it on the fire too long. When Tobkai took the first bite, he nearly choked. "Adaku," he said gently, "did you taste this?" "I don't eat rice that is still cooking," she said defensively. "It's not cooking," he said. "It's drowning." Adaku flared up immediately. "Are you calling me a bad wife? Are you insulting me? Me, Adaku, daughter of Ngozi?" Tobkai sighed. He was patient, but patience has limits. As weeks passed, her husband's clothes were never washed properly. His meals were always half-cooked, over-salted, or burnt. The house was always messy. Neighbors began to whisper. Tobetch's mother visited and clutched her chest in shock. "Adaku, who taught you housekeeping?" she asked. Adaku lifted her chin proudly. "I had a girl in the village who did everything." Tobetch's mother sighed deeply. "Ah, so you learned nothing." The tension grew. Arguments became frequent. Tobkai never insulted her, but disappointment hung in his eyes like a shadow. Adaku, who thought marriage was only makeup, clothes, and enjoyment, found herself overwhelmed. She cried often. She felt embarrassed whenever visitors came. She became defensive, angry, and resentful. She wrote to her mother frequently. "Mama, this man wants to turn me into a slave. Mama, he expects me to cook. Mama, he says I should wake up early. Mama, why didn't you teach me anything?" But Ngozi, proud and stubborn, always replied, "Don't let him stress you. You are a queen. He should hire a maid." Unfortunately, Tobkai could not afford a maid, and even if he could, he wanted a partner, not a spoiled child. Slowly, their once celebrated marriage lost its shine. One afternoon, after burning stew for the third time that week, Adaku broke down in tears. "I can't do this," she cried. "I don't know anything. My mother never taught me. I thought life was easy. I thought marriage was enjoyment." Tobkai watched her quietly and said, "Adaku, I don't need perfection. I just need effort. I need a wife who is willing to learn." For the first time in her life, she realized how unprepared she was for real life, and she blamed her mother for that. She decided to cut her mother off. Learn how to cook and take care of the home. Back in the village one hot afternoon, after a long day of pounding yam and washing clothes, Amora went to the stream to fetch water. The path was quiet, only the chirping of birds and the sound of her feet crunching dry leaves. When she reached the water's edge, she noticed an old woman sitting on a rock, her wrapper torn, her lips cracked with thirst. "My child," the woman croaked, "please, give me water." Amora quickly filled her calabash and held it to the woman's lips. The old woman drank deeply, sighing with relief. "Thank you, my daughter," she said. "You are kind. Many passed me by today, pretending not to see me, but you stopped." "It's nothing, Mima," Amora said softly. "You were thirsty." The woman smiled, and in that moment, her form began to shimmer. Her wrinkled skin smoothed, her torn wrapper turned into shimmering cloth, and her eyes glowed like the moon. Amora gasped and fell to her knees. "Do not fear," the spirit said. "You have done what few would do, shown kindness without expecting reward. For this, I bless you." She leans close to Amora and whispers some words in her ears. Before Amora could speak, the spirit faded into mist. The only thing left was sound of water running in the stream. Amora sat by the stream, trembling, trying to understand what had just happened. After a while she walks home slowly, silently, keeping everything inside. She told no one what happened at the stream. Years later, Ekin, now a grown man, left home to work as a carpenter in another town. Ngozi grew old and bitter, still making Amora work like a slave. Then one day, a poor farmer named Chidi came to Ngozi's home. He was humble, hard-working, and known for his honesty, though his farm barely yielded enough to feed him. He said, "I seek a wife, and I have seen in your niece a woman of good character." Ngozi laughed mockingly. "You want to marry her? Fine. Take her. She will eat all your food and bring you bad luck. I do not need a single kobo for her dowry." Amora said nothing. She accepted her fate and followed Chidi to his village with only a small bundle of clothes and her mother's old scarf. Her new home was small, a single hut beside a dusty field, but for the first time in her life, she felt peace. Chidi was kind. He shared his meals with her, laughed with her, and never raised his voice. Though their farm was small, they worked side by side, sweating and singing together. And slowly, the ground beneath them began to change. The rains came on time that year. When Chidi planted his seeds, the soil responded as though it had been waiting for him. The yams grew thick and long. The maize stood tall and green. The cassava roots grew so heavy that they cracked the earth. Goats birthed twins, chickens laid eggs daily, and every trade Chidi touched turned into profit. The villagers were astonished. Was this not the man who could barely feed himself? They asked. How did his fortune change overnight? And Chidi would only smile and say, "It must be the grace of the gods." In truth, he had no idea that the blessing walking beside him was the reason his life had bloomed. Months later, as they sat outside one moonlit night, Chidi turned to Amora and said softly, "My love, I do not understand this miracle. Everything I touch now prospers. Tell me, what have I done to deserve such favor?" Amora hesitated, her eyes glistening in the moonlight. "Chidi," she said, "there is something I have never told anyone." She said years ago, one hot afternoon I went to the stream to fetch water, and there I met an old woman who asked me for water. After giving her the water, she whispers in my ear and said, "From this day, anyone who marries you with love and keeps you happy will prosper beyond measure. The land will answer to his hands, and fortune will never leave his home." She instructed me not to tell anyone until it came to pass. So, I told no one. Not my aunt. Not my friends. Not even the wind. And there, under the stars, she told him about the spirit by the stream, the old woman, the drink of water, the blessing. When she finished, silence hung between them. Then Chidi took her hands and said, "Then I shall make sure you are happy all your days, my wife. For your heart is the root of my wealth." Back in the old village, Ngosi's husband had long died. Her once fertile farm was barren. She wrote to Adaku, begging for help. No reply came. She sent messengers to her son, Ekan, but he was far away, barely surviving himself. The proud woman who once mocked others was now alone, her voice faint, her body frail. When word reached Amora, she told Chidi, "We must go for her." They found Ngozi lying on a mat, too weak to stand. Amora knelt beside her, weeping. "Auntie, you will be fine. I've brought food and medicine." Ngozi's lips trembled. "After everything I did to you, you still came?" Amora smiled softly. "My mother taught me that bitterness fills the heart like sand fills a pot, it leaves no room for peace. I forgave you long ago." They took her home and cared for her until she passed peacefully, her last words a whisper. "I see now, kindness is the true wealth." Years later, Amora gave birth to a baby boy and after that a girl. Amora and Chidi became the wealthiest and most respected couple in the region. They built homes for widows, paid for children's schooling, and helped the poor. When Ekan returned and saw how blessed his cousin was, he wept with joy. "You are proof that goodness never dies," he said. And whenever people asked Amora for the secret of her success, she only smiled and said, "There is no secret. When your hands give freely and your heart forgives easily, even the spirits will bless your path." Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share, like and comment.